Welcome everyone to the Opinion Nation podcast. I am your host, King Daddy, coming to you from beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina. Speaking of Charlotte, North Carolina, one of the things that have sparked me today to do this podcast on this particular subject matter has to do with the fact that I was watching the news the other day and I noticed that one of our city councilmen, Braxton Winston, was on TV criticizing our local police department and the way that they handle people and their situation when it comes to dealing with ICE. Not the ICE that goes in your drink, but the law enforcement that deals with illegal immigration. Braxton Winston does not believe that our local police force should work with ICE, should do anything to draw attention to criminals that are arrested, because he feels like that ICE should not be involved. One of the instances that took place not too long ago, I believe it was last weekend, had something to do with the fact that ICE and the police department set up a checkpoint at the exact same location. Now, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department says that they had set up their checkpoint because of an accident, a motor vehicle accident that had taken place in the same vicinity, and ICE says that they were there for a different reason and that the two things had nothing to do with each other. But Councilman Winston decided that he wanted to make a big public issue about it, and it got all over the news. And as we all know, border security, the wall, the war between Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump, that's all you see on the news now. And everybody seems to be streamlining in on that particular battle, voicing their own yet separate opinions about similar situations that take place that absolutely may or may not have anything to do with the same thing. But yet it's the same war, and it's being fought in the smallest of places and the largest of places between local and national government. And they're all fighting this war. You have one side of the war, which is usually the Democrats, that are all for immigration, and they think that the immigrants should be left alone, that ICE should be dissolved, they should not be able to interfere in law enforcement practices. An example of that would be that our Mecklenburg County Sheriff, Gary McFadden, and for those of you who do not live around here, you're welcome to Google Gary McFadden and it will tell you all about him. But he has canceled that program where the police department work with ICE and let them know if an illegal immigrant has been arrested. They would normally contact ICE and let them know. Now they are not doing that. So basically, when these people get out of jail, they get to go back to their normal lives. They get to go back to whatever it was they were doing before they got arrested. Now, keep in mind, these are criminals. These are not everyday people that we're talking about going to work every day or doing whatever it is that they do. These are criminals. They have crossed paths with law enforcement in a negative way. And the sheriff of Mecklenburg County does not want to hold them accountable for their number one crime, and that's being here in the first fucking place. So there's a problem there. And now on a national level, we have the president and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Democrats versus Republicans who have already one time shut down the government over the funding of the border wall because Donald Trump wants $5.7 billion to build the wall. They were not giving anything, so the government shut down. All these people were out of work. Nobody got their paycheck. The national parks were dirty. I mean, right here in North Carolina, they've shown all over the news where Cherokee National Forest and the parkways and things up near Asheville, Blue Ridge Parkway, are covered in trash. Well, first of all, the biggest problem there is who the hell goes to a national park or a scenic area and throws their goddamn trash out on the ground. That's the biggest problem that we have, is the fact that people who visit these places are just fucking nasty. Why can't they clean up behind themselves? But the other problem was nobody was there to enforce any regulations. The place got dirty over a 2-week time span. Now they're showing pictures of them doing road repairs, cleaning up trash, and putting forth all this effort to clean up what the pigs who went to visit these places messed up to begin with, because the government shut down. You can debate on whose fault it was. Was it Donald Trump's fault because he refused to not take any money for the wall? Was it the Democrats' fault because they refused to give any money for the wall? That's a moot point. There is no reason why that point even has to be brought up. It's everybody's fault. One, it's the fault of the United States of America because we have allowed our immigration problem to get out of hand. And now we have a man who's in the office who wants to focus all of his efforts on fixing the immigration problem. And you have the Democrats who are focusing all their direction on trying to stop him from fixing the immigration problem. And basically what you have now in Washington is a clusterfuck of nobody working together with anyone to get anything done, because all they want to do is fight. Now, what is that doing for us as the American people? Well, it's not doing a damn thing is what it's doing. You know, we're sitting here and we are watching this gridlock in government play out like a bad soap opera. Nancy Pelosi should be, played by Susan Lucci. And Donald Trump, he already has, Alec Baldwin, who plays him on Saturday Night Live. So maybe we can get Susan Lucci to play Nancy Pelosi and Alec Baldwin to play Donald Trump. Lock them in a room and let them fix this shit, because they're not fixing it now. And they're the ones who have been elected by the people of the United States. Whether you agree or disagree with the Electoral College for the president, Donald Trump is president. For all of those of you who say, not my president, yes, he is. Good, bad, or indifferent, that cheeseburger-eating motherfucker is your president. We need to figure out a way, they need to figure out a way to make this whole thing work. So now you have, what's her name? Alexandria Cortez. I'll just call it, I can't remember what the whole name is. You have her coming up with all these different things from a socialist agenda, along with Bernie Sanders. You have Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, who spend all their time wanting to fight the president. And then you have Donald Trump, who sits there in his bedroom in the middle of the night and tweets about everything that's going on. So nothing is happening. So here is what I suggest. I suggest that we take Donald Trump, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Mike Pence, the governors from all the border states, the mayors from all the border towns and cities, and you lock them in a room and you give them 1 week of 10 hours a day, every day in this room to hash out this problem. They're not allowed to tweet. They're not allowed to argue. They have to formulate a game plan to make sure that the American people are taken care of, that the government that is for the people is actually for the people. But they're not going to do that. They want to continue to fight. And they want to continue to not allow the government to work as it is supposed to. We're not making America great again. We've made America stagnant again. Now, I do realize that the numbers are there for the jobs, the numbers are there for the economy, and that the numbers are there for, certain things that, the president has done that are good things. But when it comes down to brass tacks, where he is supposed to work together with the entire government. He is not just a Republican president. He is president of the United States of America, which means that even if he does not like Nancy Pelosi, might as well be Nancy Schumer. What the fuck? They're the same. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Alexandria Cortez, or anybody else in the United States government in the field of 40 whatever people that are running against him in 2020, it is only 2019, and he has a job to do to finish out his term successfully, to make the American people feel good about the country that they live in again. And right now, we don't feel good. I don't live in a border state, but I understand the situation that we have with immigrants. Hell, when I was building this house, Mexicans built my porch. Mexicans landscaped my yard. I don't know whether they were legal or illegal, but they're here. We're going to have to figure out a way to deal with it. If they're legal, let them work, let them stay. If they're illegal, get them out of here or figure out a way to make them legal. Is a wall the answer? For $5.7 billion that could be used for so many other things in this country, I don't know if the wall's the answer or not. I mean, I'm not a wall expert, but I agree with some of the things that people have said that, if you don't want people to come into your yard, put up a fence, lock your doors. Walls and fences and blockades do work to a degree. But so do men with guns. They work to a degree. But the bottom line is there's still people getting in. I saw on the news last night, where they convicted El Chapo. Well, El Chapo has been bringing guns and weapons and doing illegal things in this country for a long, long time. Would a wall have kept El Chapo out? Can you keep people like that out who have so much money that they can do whatever they want to? So, Donald, is a wall really the answer? Or do you need to sit down with the experts? So here we go. Now, you have Nancy Pelosi, you have Chuck Schumer, you have Vice President Mike Pence, you have the governors from the border states, you have the mayors from the border towns and cities. You need the leader of ICE and the chiefs of police from all of these places to all come together in this room, and you need to start at point A, and you need to decide what part of this is the most important. What do we need to deal with the most? Where should we utilize our funding the most? Is it a wall? Donald's going to have to get his mind off the wall and think outside the box and figure out that there may be another way. Nancy and Chuck need to think outside the box and say to themselves, if all these people locked in this room decide that a wall is what is necessary, maybe we should give some money to do something about the wall. But then you have the big problem of the fact that the wall cost $5.7 billion. Well, there's only one way that money is going to come in, and that's through our taxes. Well, our tax dollars are already being wasted on so much shit that we don't need, being given to so many programs that nobody wants. The $5.7 billion is a lot of money to have to come up with just to build a fucking wall or fence or metal barrier or whatever the hell they want to call it. $5.7 billion does not work for the American people, whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, or a libertarian such as myself. $5.7 billion does not work for a wall. $5.7 billion does not work if that's all we're going to do to enhance border security. Now, the Democrats and other members of Congress have came up with a plan where they have offered, I believe now, $1.6 billion to put the wall for 55 miles in some, I guess, more needed locations where the illegal immigration is the worst. That's not bad. I think Donald maybe should look at that, but there's got to be something done to get the police departments, the ICE agents, the government on local levels, and the government on national levels to get together somehow on the same page and work together to fix this shit. You're not being elected as an individual entity where you have an opinion, and if everybody else don't share your opinion, you pick up your fucking ball and go home. That's not how it works. We elected you to go there, whether it be to Charlotte or to Washington, D.C. We have elected you to go there and to work together with other people with individual opinions and come up with the best solution to fix what we have going on. Right now, you're not doing it. Right now, there are people in this country who need more than what you're giving us. But why won't you work together to give it to us? Why should we have to turn on the news and hear that Nancy Pelosi purses her lips and claps her hands in some weird form or fashion because she does not like what the president says? Why do we have to listen to the president of our country criticize Nancy Pelosi for the things that she's doing or make up names for Chuck Schumer for the things that he's doing? Why can't they sit in a room like adults with pens and paper and thoughts and formulate a game plan that works for every American citizen? But they're not going to do it because politicians are all about themselves. Politicians don't work for us. They work for lobbyists. They work for the people who sink the most money into their campaigns to get them elected. So they get to Washington, they get to Charlotte, they get to Baltimore, they get to Atlanta, they get to all these places where they're elected to serve, and the only people that they are serving are the special interest groups that got them there to begin with. This has got to stop. I believe that our entire situation could be fixed from the very beginning, or as we like to say in the South, from the get-go, with campaign finance reform. Figure out where this money is coming from that get these people elected and stop it. If you want to have people elected to public office, then let the money come from the actual public, not corporations, not rich people, not entities or drug companies or meat companies or dairy companies. None of these people need to be giving money to campaigns. They need to be capped. And one, the price of campaigns themselves need to be brought down. Nobody should spend $1 billion to run for Congress. Nobody should spend millions of dollars to run for mayor of the city of Charlotte. Nobody should spend the kind of money that these people spend to get elected into an office where they go up there and don't do jack shit. There's where one of our biggest problems lie. We are allowing these people to spend ungodly amounts of money to get there, and then they feel like for the time that they're there, they have to pay back the ones who got them there. The ones who get you there should be the American people, or the people of Charlotte, or the people of Atlanta, or the people of Baltimore, or the people of any other city in this country who elected you to be there. That's who we work for. As an elected official, that is who you work for. So now we've got ourselves in a little conundrum. We've got ourselves between a rock and a hard place. We can't figure out the simplistics of what to do about the border situation, because every single person who sits up there on their high horse looking down on the American people, talking down to the people who got them elected, they're sitting up there and they're fighting each other, and they're wasting our money, and they're wasting our time. There are solutions to these problems, and I believe that one, campaign finance reform will fix a lot of this. I don't know if it'll fix what's up there now, because the ones who are there now still feel like they owe the people who got them there. But it can fix things in the future. I think the American people are a huge problem, because the voter turnout is horrible. Nobody is informed anymore. Everybody has picked and chosen a side without any information whatsoever. Nobody knows anything about what's taking place in our government, or even what the people that they're electing stand for, because you're either a Republican or a Democrat, and you don't give a shit what takes. Well, guess what? Your party on both sides of the aisle are so fucked up that we may never get it back. You have allowed these clowns, and when I say clown, I'm talking about the current president of the United States. I am talking about Nancy Pelosi. I am talking about Chuck Schumer. I am talking about the field of dreams that think they're running for president in 2020. I am talking about the Cortez lady who just likes to get on TV and smile her cute little smile and say dumb shit, all the way down to our local politicians in our small towns all throughout America who have agendas to serve nothing but themselves. Somewhere along the line, we have to draw the line on that. We have to stop. The buck has to stop here. But we're not willing to do anything to fix it, because all we want to do is argue politics as it currently stands. But nobody wants to argue solutions. Nobody wants to argue the actual problem. They want to argue politics. Politics is not the answer to our problems. But we want to argue. Do I want a wall? Do I think the president's right? Let's stick on our Make America Great Again hat and go to a rally and scream about shit that we don't know anything about. Or let's go out in the middle of the road and protest about shit that we know absolutely nothing about, because the United States of America has become a country of uninformed idiots who have gotten so conditioned to vote for their party that they no longer give a shit to vote for what's right or what's wrong. So now, do we need a wall? I do agree that we need extra border security. I think there is a huge problem when it comes to immigration. There's a huge problem when it comes to the amount of illegals that are in this country. There's a huge problem with crime. I don't know that the illegals commit most of the crime. But there is a problem with all of these things, and there's not one solution to fixing any of it. The border wall is not the solution to fixing all the crime, all the drugs, and all the things that are going on in America. That's just a small percentage of the problem. Because in your non-border towns, in your Charlottes, in your Chicagos, in your Atlantas, in your Baltimores, the murder rate is outrageous. The drug problem is outrageous. So all of that does not stem from the border. All these people sitting around in meth labs and homemade kitchens producing, methamphetamines and selling them on the street are not doing these things because somebody brought them across the border. I mean, there are some local people in local levels who are sitting around in their kitchen, in their homes with children, cooking meth in their kitchen and distributing it on the street. That's a problem. So, Mr. President, Nancy, Chuck, Cortez, Mr. Vice President, quit sticking your head up your own ass. Pull it out. Look the American people in the eye and fix this shit. We have a shithole that needs to be fixed. We have homeless veterans on the street. We have homeless people on the street. We have crime. We have murder. We have drugs. We have illegal immigration. And we have politicians who are so busy politicking that they forgot why they were there in the first place. This is King Daddy for the Opinionation Podcast, letting you know that you can find us on Twitter at KD Show, Real KD Show. You can also find us on Instagram at Real_KD Show. And we are also on Facebook at KD Show. And you can also go to qcking.libsyn.com to hear the show. We're on Spotify, soon to be iHeartRadio. I don't know what's taking that one so long, but it's coming. And we're on YouTube and many, many other places where you can find it. And I'll also drop a link on the social media so that you can listen to this. But we have a serious problem that we need to take care of. We need to make sure that our elected officials are fixing what needs to be fixed on our behalf, not their behalf. Thank you.